despite the economic crisis, despite a door that may be shut right on my face, I choose to believe in God's limitless bounty. Just because the fuel price has risen up in my country, and just because we are experiencing inflation, doesn't mean that the limitless bounty with God is running dry, because the bounty with God is infinite. And no matter how much you take from the infinite, infinite remains. How about you choose to subscribe to that? How about you choose to elevate and operate from your spiritual essence rather than letting your 3D physical reality form the truth and the facts of your life? Because the truth of the matter is, as your awareness expands, facts change. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May God's peace, divine protection, blessing and abundance be upon you. Welcome to the show Talk Success with Shameema Shajahan. I am so grateful for having you here, whether you are listening to us either in one of our podcast platforms, on YouTube, it doesn't matter. I am so grateful that we cross paths. Do subscribe and stay in touch with us so we can have more transformational and life-changing conversations, inshallah, by God's will. Today is a very, very special day. And today is my 27th birthday, born day. And I had recorded a whole other episode that I wanted to post as the very first episode of the Talk Success with Shameema Shajahan show, but I felt inspired to share something with you in the live transmission. Therefore, if you are watching this episode, then this is the very first episode of the Talk Success with Shameema Shajahan show, and I am so excited that you are joining us early on in our journey, because this is just the beginning. If you have been following me on Instagram, and my handle is Shameema_Shajahan, I've been teasing about revealing the Shameema's mindset secret in today's episode. Because let's face it, we as human beings have in our innate nature to seek out success. And this is the very fact that inspired me to name this show Talk Success, because I feel that there are a lot of toxic rules and meanings that we have attached to seeking success. For an example, if you are seeking success, that means you are forsaking God, you're being greedy, you're not being grateful, you're not being humble, you are not thinking about the less fortunate, and all these negative traits that is not serving anyone. And if there is one thing that we make very loud and clear in our show, it is the fact that your desires comes from the essence of your soul. Your desires, if they are leading to the greater goodness of the will of God, then they are coming from the goodness of divine love. And by you reaching your God-given potential, you not just get to transform your own life, but you also have a positive effect on the lives of others, whether it be humankind, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the kingdom of the unseen. There's absolutely no limit, which is why we have to take full responsibility and accountability for making the best of this one life that we are given. And when we talk about birthdays, because today's my birthday and I started off on that note, a lot of us think about cakes, celebration, parties, and these temporary moments. But as I turn 27, unlike the other birthdays where I focus on celebrating with a particular event, I took it upon myself with celebrating by unraveling a new texture of myself, of stretching myself to a new level of visibility comfort zone. Letting the soul calling in my being be heard by me embodying my next level self. And all of this gets to be a form of celebration. Yes, it's not pretty with candles and icing and cakes. Yes, it does not get me the applause from my friends and everyone celebrating me. But then you reach a point where you are no longer seeking appreciation, validation, approval from anything outside of you. And very recently, I held on to this concept of honorable selfishness. And honorable selfishness is where you leave the outside world outside and honor yourself and your relationship with you as a being and your relationship with God, where you get to taste the sweetness, the intimacy of Al-Qarib, the close God, who is closer to you than your jugular veins. Because while you are trying to build an intimate relationship with yourself and with God, and you have not adopted honorable selfishness, where you've left the outside world, whether it comes from your profession, your children, your spouse, your day-to-day obligations, a special event that's happening, then you risk not being able to taste the true richness of building an intimacy with yourself and God, which will catalyze your success, which will help you in a very profound way to fulfill your God-given potential, your purpose, your holy mission for your life, the purpose of your existence, the reason why you wake up every single day and get excited to attack your day with a new level of vitality and vigor. Which is why I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the only person that you need on board for you to reach new heights in your personal development is yourself. Because the truth of the matter is, God is already on your side. Think about a time where you were going through something very difficult emotionally. Perhaps you were even contemplating suicide. Perhaps you were contemplating the most negative, depressing, desperate things. You were expecting the worst. Yet, here we are. In whichever season of your life you're listening to, hear me loud and clear. It gets to be better. I think back at the time where I just was not excited to live. I thought that being in the closure of my grave was better for me than find hope to face tomorrow. This was a fact. This was a reality where I was talking and having conversations with God that went along the lines of, Ya Allah, you told me if things get very difficult and unable to bear, that it is okay for me to pray for death. And I feel like I'm at that point and I'm afraid I might do something stupid and compromise my eternity. So I ask you to have grace upon me and kind of conduct mercy killing, if I were to say, on myself. But through all of it, if I am here speaking to you with so much strength and no longer in my pain, no longer being described and associated with all the stories and all the incidents that broke me, but instead I grew through all of them, embodied the lesson, and I'm talking to you here right now, it's only because God never gave up on me. Even when I gave up on myself, even when I refused to see hope on the other side. So knowing that you have divine help, you have the possibility of miracles in your life, are you going to get fully on board to witness the unraveling of your own success? It is an option, you know. Life is all about choice. And when we talk about free will, there are a lot of people who limit to perceiving free will in just one matter, that you have the free will to choose whether you want to believe in God or not. You have the free will to choose whether you want to obey God in a certain aspect or not. But free will, if correctly understood in its depth, is a superpower. And you can flirt with free will to create the success that you are seeking. And talking a lot about the word success, I had a very icky relationship with it because I am a woman who chose to dedicate her life for God. And I chose to put God first, and I chose to put His messenger second, and I willingly put myself third. And yes, I do not put anyone else before me other than God and His messenger, because one of the rules in my Alpha Queendom is that you serve everyone from overflow. Because God informs us that on the day of judgment, everyone else is going to just run away from you. So it's important that you back yourself right here, right now, today, while the opportunity called life still exists. So we have hope of having radiating faces on the day of judgment and having the shade of the Arsh of Allah, the throne of Allah, rather than being in a state of desperation for not choosing better. And you can use your free will to choose how you want to lead each and every aspect of your life. I get to have the free will to choose whether I want to create a podcast episode and distribute onto my YouTube channel. I get to choose how big I get to stretch my comfort zone. And all of this gets to compound to form your life story, your legacy, your scroll of life. And you get to choose to be someone who is success oriented. Success of this world and the next. There are a lot of people that when you say the word success, they think that immediately you've given up faith, that you've chosen just this world over the world of hereafter. And if you had been a victim who had been under the influence of this programming, of this reality in your paradigm, your habitual way of thinking, that I want to say that this programming was programmed into your subconscious mind from the place of lack. Because when we are talking about God and what Allah can make available for us, we are not talking about this or that. We are talking about this and that. And this has been beautifully demonstrated in the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught in His own words. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This world and the next. So whenever I say success, I don't want you to feel any shame or feel any guilt. If that's what you feel is the emotion that's getting triggered. Rather, I want you to feel expanded. It doesn't matter what opinion may have been engraved in your subconscious mind up until this point. Now that this awareness has come to you, you get to shift. You get to pivot your life and carve your own path if the need be. And this brings me to Shameema's mindset secret number 1. And I feel that this is very relevant in today's time where there is a lot of chaos happening. There's a lot of ungodly things that's happening around us. And as believers, if you are staying in loop with the signs of the doomsday, you know that it is in preparation for the coming of the false Messiah, Dajjal. So you should not be surprised. Rather, you should concern yourself with preparation, with developing yourself, and in fact, earnestly seeking success more. Blinders on, focus on. That's the vibe that we are aiming for. And we see a lot of people discussing about inflation, talking about the dollar crash, talking about wars, talking about natural disasters, talking about the price of gas, petrol. And I live in Sri Lanka, and if you have been watching the news and you know what's going around the world, if you're not from Sri Lanka, you'd know that there's a lot of political corruption that is happening right now. A lot of hardship, a lot of chaos that is happening, that sometimes I tell God that it's becoming challenging to have a positive mental attitude. It's becoming challenging to have hope, to have a positive mental attitude, especially when having positive mental attitude and having faith and refusing to acknowledge that this means that you cannot succeed. This means the provision that God has destined for you is going to be delayed, is seen as unempathetic. There is a higher possibility for being misunderstood by not just strangers on the internet, by your own loved ones. Sometimes when my husband comes with conversations about the chaos happening in the political side of the world, and I do not want to do anything with it because I'm too busy talking success, focusing on success, building my legacy, thinking about God, training myself, minding my own business, because what happens gets to happen. I do not have any calling in involving in that. I don't feel that my holy mission has anything to do with the political world, and I choose to make my difference. And this is my calling, to speak about mindset, to speak about how you can show up as a leader, show you how to build wealth, show you how to build an online empire, show you how to multiply your wealth, show you how to have an amazing marriage. This is the areas that I feel inspired and called to speak on. This is the way I want to make the difference. Just because someone outside of you says that, just because you're not talking about the political chaos that's happening, which means that you are unempathetic, which means you are this, you're that, that's just an opinion. And opinion is the cheapest commodity that is available. And you should be so clear in your standing that the opinion of another outside of yourself does not make your reality. It doesn't mean that it is true. I always tell myself I heed my own counsel and the counsel of God, and at best my chosen models by the virtue of the fruits that's evident in their life and that inspires me. That's it. If someone has an opinion that does not make me feel good, it's not my problem to deal with. I lovingly release them for their own lesson and go back to focusing on what God is inspiring my heart to do in terms of my difference that He wants to manifest through me as the vessel. And which is why sometimes when things get hard, it's not about neglecting your feelings. It's not about turning a blind eye. Sometimes I think about all the chaos that's happening and cry my eyeballs out until I have puffy eyes and puffy nose. It's not what this is all about. It's not about neglecting your feelings and not feeling your feelings, but it's about not allowing your feelings to dictate you, not allowing your feelings to make you a reactive being, rather being on top of your feelings, managing your mind, controlling your feelings, and responding the way you want to respond, and the way that will make you feel proud for who you were when you look back in hindsight. And that is the aim, and that is the goal, because we know for a fact as believers, the way we chose to live our life matters, because everything is gonna be played back to us. Everything is being actively recorded as we speak this, as you are listening to me. We want to be smart individuals. You are smart, you are intelligent, and hence when we know better, we have to be better. We have to do better, inshallah. So despite feeling the feelings and holding the heaviness of the heart, you pray to God as a prayer in motion. And the first secret of Shameema's mindset that made a monumental shift in my own life is telling God that I choose to be the exception. I am the vibe. I am the evidence. Say it with me. I am the exception. I am the vibe. I am the evidence. And let me now break this down to help you understand the essence of this truth that shifted my life. When I say I am the exception, there were a lot of people around me. They were talking about how the economy was bad and it is hard to succeed. It is hard to rise up. But they forget the principle of life. The first law of nature is order. Everything is order. God created this universe in law and order. And one of the key laws is that whatever you focus on grows. Whatever you focus on grows. And even understanding us on a physiological level, on a psychological level, we have this thing called reticular system in us, that whatever we accept as truth in our subconscious level, our mind is in this automatic radar finding evidence to prove us right. So when you say that there is a lot of chaos, there is no hope, you cannot succeed, it's gonna be difficult for you to thrive in this circumstance, you are doomed, it's pointless having all these gifts and talents and all these dreams because you cannot rise up, and you've accepted all these lies of the devil, then guess what happens? You becoming a self-fulfilling doom prophecy. You're going to find more evidence of it until it becomes your reality. And if you do not want this reality, you have to choose to opt out, to unsubscribe, to block this lie from the devil and say that I'm subscribing to becoming the exception if the need be. Because despite the economy crisis, despite a door that may be shut right on my face, I choose to believe in God's limitless bounty. Just because the fuel price has risen up in my country and just because we are experiencing inflation doesn't mean that the limitless bounty with God is running dry, because the bounty with God is infinite. And no matter how much you take from the infinite, infinite remains. How about you choose to subscribe to that? How about you choose to elevate and operate from your spiritual essence rather than letting your 3D physical reality form the truth and the facts of your life? Because the truth of the matter is, as your awareness expands, facts change. And you can use the knowledge, the wisdom to choose different facts for your life, whether or not you have a support system. Because like I mentioned in the beginning, the only person that you need on board in order for you to succeed in your life is yourself, because God is already on your side. So this is what it means to choose to be the exception, that despite what the masses are telling, if you do not want to align with that, you boldly and courageously choose different for yourself. This doesn't mean that you need to verbalize it and have debates about it with others. You can lovingly release everyone for their own lessons and focus on your business. That is, focus on managing your thoughts and your feelings, and whatever thoughts that you may be finding hard to believe, you keep actively repeating to yourself. And in the beginning, you're going to find it hard to believe when you have been trained and programmed to focus on only the negative and form conclusions from that. But as you repeat, you're going to form new neural pathways that is going to facilitate you creating a new reality for yourself. So this is something that I did for myself. That when a lot of people were focusing on how the economy was bad, how the business was bad, this is all I was hearing. But I said, enough is enough. Ya Allah, I choose to be the exception. I am the exception. And I actively sought out evidence that proved that people were thriving despite the chaos around. There was one of my friends who dropped me a message and saying that she was going on Hajj. And I told myself, see, people are going on Hajj despite what's happening around. It doesn't stop. And there was a relative of mine who flew abroad with her husband and they were having a good holiday. And I told myself, see, people are flying abroad on holidays and having a good time. And this gets to be available for me too. And it cannot be possible if you cannot see this reality for yourself. It's only when people do not see that what God wants to give you, He gives from His infinite bounty and not from someone else's risk. He doesn't have to take from someone else to give you. He can give you because He is Ar-Razzaq. He can give you because He is Al-Wahhab. He can give you because He is the provider. He is the creator. He can create something out of nothing with just the word kun and give it to you if the need be. Can you hold that faith for you? It's not easy when all your life you've been trained to see and programmed to see the lack and the scarcity. But it gets to be simple. And this is why the only dua that Allah taught us to seek more of is not more of the degrees, is not more of money, is not more of children, is not more of romance in your relationship, but Rabbi zidni ilma, knowledge, beneficial knowledge. When you gain knowledge, you have awareness. And when you have awareness, you can choose better. You can apply your free will more effectively. And when you choose better, you start creating a new, better, improved life for yourself in this world. And this world is the Darul Amal. This is the place for you to act. And this is going to dictate your eternity as well, inshallah. So this is the essence of I am an exception. The next part is I am the vibe. What does this mean? I say this because when you choose to be the exception, sometimes you find yourself as a one-man or one-woman army. A sense of loneliness can creep in, where you do not have a lot of supporters or a lot of loved ones who agree with you. In fact, you may be having people who misunderstand you, and it gets to be okay. Because one can be majority with God, and as long as everything is in the right place where the counting matters, you are good. And the final part of the first three-liner that I constantly repeat to myself, that is, I am the exception, I am the vibe, and I am the evidence. And very soon, with you holding this belief and you betting on yourself and choosing faith and choosing hope and choosing tawakkul, choosing to take and seek from the infinite bounty with Allah, from the fadl of Allah, what happens is that results are bound to show. Just like you can be a self-fulfilling doom prophecy, you can also become a self-fulfilling abundance, prosperity, opulence prophecy. It's all about what you choose. And when the results show externally as it should and as it will by law, you become the evidence. Very soon, the people who were doubting you and misunderstanding you and even hurting you consciously or unconsciously want to know how you did it. Want to know how you succeeded despite everything that was going against you. How? And that's when you become the evidence. This is not to say that you focus on success to prove other people wrong. But it is what it is, and it gets to be a marvelous, wonderful, magnificent life. This is an idea you get to subscribe to, because when I say life, one person can immediately think about, oh my God, I hate life. Whereas another person can think of, what a magnificent blessing. The only question you have to ask yourself is, what is the thought that you have subscribed to? And if you feel that you've not subscribed to the right thought, it's not a big deal, because you have the free will and the power within yourself to unsubscribe and subscribe to the right channel of thought, inshallah. And the second 3-liner secret of Shameema's mindset that I'm going to leave you with in this episode goes like this. Bismillah. God is the goal, His pleasure is the price, and I am the gift, and I get to play with all my textures. Because when we talk about success, and as a believer, I had an icky feeling because the personal development industry always tend to pose the question, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? And it didn't sit right with me. Because what's the point of having everything when I know that this whole world is mata'ul urur, that this is an illusion, this is not eternity. And I had this yearning in my soul to go back home to Jannah, inshallah, Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la, inshallah. And it just didn't feel right for me to always think about what I want. Because I'd rather think about God, and in His remembrance, your heart finds peace. And that's when I came with this breakthrough that it's not about anything of this dunya. It's not about getting at all. It's about God. God is the goal. Taqwa is the goal. God consciousness is the goal. That even when things do not go according to plan, when you are in the right frame of mind and your relationship with your God is good, you have everything that you'd ever need in order to be successful. God is the goal. And when you have God, the prize is not the things of this world that you get, but His pleasure is the prize. That's what we need to seek. And that led me to the next confusion, the state of confusion that I had. Because if God is the goal and His pleasure is the prize, then where do I fit in this equation? Because I realized that while I acknowledge God, in order to succeed, I also needed to acknowledge myself. It's not about abandoning myself. It's not about abandoning my soul. And I realized that I am the gift. How many of us think that we are a gift? How many of us have thanked God for creating you, for just being yourself, for having this life, for this existence of yourself? Just think about it. I want you to pause and think about it. My God, I'm a gift. God willed my existence. That's such an amazing thing to celebrate, isn't it? It's an amazing thing to be grateful for. We've been taught to be grateful for our spouse, our children, the money, the house, the food, the health. But what about us? What about me? Am I grateful for me, just my existence? Not even this life. Me, you know what I mean? Beyond this life, the soul that is millions and millions years old. This is another interesting reflection that I had, that I've been in this world for 27 years, but my soul, the me, I am very, very old. If I had been there during Ahad Alist, where Allah asked, am I not your Lord? During that promise, when I was existing then, because God said that every soul that is gonna ever exist testified to this truth of accepting Allah as the one true Lord, then I'm a very old soul. A very, very old soul. And I'm grateful for this soul that testified that God is one. Did I see God? I do not know. In this human memory, it's not stored. But I'm so grateful, and I am the gift. And talking about success, we will talk about purpose, identifying purpose, living a life of purpose, and all these juicy things, which is so amazing. How to find what your purpose is, how to leverage this purpose in order to cause a difference in the lives of others and build a business for yourself. So you have a wealth to support your dream and you can contribute far beyond your physical presence. How you can build a lifestyle that you desire and really play with your creative expression, because like I said, I am the gift and I get to play with all my textures. And we just have one life and we get to honor it. And I realized that beyond what I want to do as a profession, I had so many other interests and so many other passions. And for the longest time, I was having a fight with it, because I thought that if I just was good at one thing, then I'd know what exactly I should be doing and my purpose is fulfilled and I'd be happy. And I fought having multiple passions, and I fought this reality of being good at a lot of things, and I fought this gift of being able to learn things very, very fast, and I thought it was a disadvantage. It's not a disadvantage if you can relate to me. It can be challenging, but know that you get to play with all your textures. And something that I posted on my Instagram recently is that because I just came out from a season of a wedding in the family, and we as Desis like to do it grand and colorful, and I really enjoyed dressing up. And I said that if not for this context, this overriding context in my life, that I just got one thing and I want to do something very meaningful that benefits me far beyond I reach my grave, I would most probably do something in the fashion or makeup industry, because that's a very interesting passion of mine. But I realized that although that is not a dominant passion that leads my everyday life and my passion, I get to play with it. I get to dress up beautifully as I show up. I do not need to go out looking for a makeup artist in order to make me look presentable the way I desire to show up for this podcast episodes. So I just did my makeup today. I just did a very subtle pink eyeshadow and I was just playing with it, and it gets to be this fun. You get to enjoy the whole of you, because the whole of you is the gift, not just the good parts of you, even your imperfections. God knew that He was creating something imperfect when He willed your existence. And with that, I want to conclude just going back to something that I posted just yesterday on Instagram at Shameema Shajahan. If you are not following me there, go ahead and follow me, inshallah. is that I said that God loves me for who I am, and I love me for who I am. Because we've been taught for the longest time that love is something that is earned as a result of doing something right and not doing something wrong. While this should be one of our primary concerns, know that it does not befit divine love to leave you when you need Him the most. And if God is going to be there for you, even when you have failed really bad, I feel it's only right to honor ourselves as the gift from God, to be there for ourselves even when we fail at something really bad. We may have given up to one of our wrong inclinations that may have caused God's displeasure, but then you choose to focus on divine love and divine forgiveness and what God can make available for you, for the strength that He can give you to overcoming your bad behavior, your bad addiction, whatever it may be. So this is 2 key mindset secrets of Shameema that has really helped me thrive, that has really helped me come to this particular phase of my life where I am genuinely happy inside out. There's abundance pouring in my life. I am creating the circumstances that I desire in my life, and I'm in my power the way I've never been in my power. I back myself up and I'm self-reliant and self-empowered like I've never been in my life. And this gets to be available for you too. And this is something that I'm so passionate about serving and supporting you with. So do subscribe, do stay tuned, share it with your loved ones, tag me on social media. Let's spread this word together. Inshallah, by God's will, I will see you soon. Till then, this is me, your host, Shameema Shajahan, signing off saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May God's peace, divine protection, mercy and blessings be upon you. Take care.